Hello and welcome to the DFL Podcast. Your host Anthony DeFranco will be with you in just a moment. Today's show is going to be reviewing movies that are currently on DVD and Blu-ray. Like today, Anthony's going to do a review on the movie Deadpool and also on the film To Be or Not To Be. So sit back and relax and, tune in.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the DFL Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony DeFranco, and DFL, of course, means DeFranco Films Limited. We are a company here on the Monterey Peninsula that specializes in doing video productions for people, like wedding videos, commercial videos, and so much more. Okay, so I've plugged the business. Now let's talk about the fun stuff. Now, this podcast will not be weekly. It'll just be whenever, we come up with something to put on the air. And it's usually going to be something that interests me, or if there's something that interests a friend, we'll put them on the air too. And so, it will vary between politics and entertainment. That's what we're trying to do here. And today, we're going to discuss two of my favorite movies, but I'm going to be as brief as possible. One, because you guys need to go out and see the movie. And then two, I've got to keep it under fair use. Ha, that damn fair use. Yes. Anyways, folks, some of you might know me from my other podcast, which is a weekly podcast, which I do with Adam Kincaid, called the A&A Coffee House Podcast. I recommend you guys listen to it. It's a great podcast. It stars Adam Kincaid and Ariel Ayers, as well as myself, and sometimes with guest contributions from Alvaro Gutierrez Valadares, who is now the editor of the podcast. I used to be the editor of the podcast, but, the board, they decided that they wanted to go in a different direction. So it's like, okay, and then I get censored a lot over there, But the other podcasts, I do use some profanity, but at the same time, it's like sometimes I go a bit vulgar with my humor, and when I was editing the podcast, I would keep some of the vulgarity, not all of it, but with the new editing direction, they take out a lot of the vulgarity, so I'm now I'm tamed over there, like PG-13. Even less than PG-13. I think I'm G-rated. But anyways, yes, now to review number one. Today I'm going to briefly discuss the film Deadpool. Now, Deadpool, if you haven't seen it in theaters or got it on Blu-ray or DVD, you are missing out on a lot. This here has to be the best Marvel film ever, and it stars Ryan Reynolds. It's based on the comics. It's about a man who becomes terminally ill, then volunteers on this experimental program, which disfigures him and everything else, and he's afraid to go back to his girlfriend, and he wants to get revenge on the person who turned him into, the ugly person that he became. But he gets superpowers, and, he pretty much can live forever. You can shoot him in the head, he survives, or in the movie, he was stabbed in the head and shot all over the place. But yeah, I would say the chemistry with Ryan Reynolds and the actress who played his girlfriend was just incredible. The script was just amazing, and first thing that'll just amaze you when you watch the film is the opening credits alone, because the opening credits are not like any other opening credits I've ever seen. Where they jokingly insult everybody who made productions and who made the production. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, I give Deadpool definitely an A+. Definitely watch it. And then the next film I'd like to do a brief review on is called To Be or Not To Be. It stars Mel Brooks and his wife, Anne Bancroft. The film is based in Poland during World War II. And those who remember Mel Brooks, he and his wife are the leads. But Mel Brooks, if no one knows who he is, he's directed and produced the comedies Dracula Dead and Loving It, Robin Hood Men in Tights, he produced the film, and it was in the film Spaceballs, and then History of the World Part 1, and so forth. He's just a brilliant comedy writer. I would recommend you seeing his other films very well too. But for today, for the film To Be or Not to Be, wow. So it's based during World War II, and the thing is Hitler invades Poland, and therefore, they're Jewish, and people they know are Jewish, and people are getting rounded up into camps, or people are losing their homes, like Mel Brooks and his wife. His wife in the movie, which is his real life wife, who was his real life wife. She died about 4 or 5 years ago, and so they're kicked out. And they're living in a little apartment, and it actually deals with the scenario. Though it's a comedy, it also has serious points dealing with how they treated Jewish people and how they treated gay people. And then there's a serious moment in the film. Yeah, and my dog Sheldon wants to put in some input. And there's this one serious part in the film. Sheldon, get your ball. I gotta go get the dog's bone. It'll just be one moment. Okay, come on. There you go. He wanted his soccer ball. Oy. See, this is one of those things, doing a podcast at your house. Okay, so where was I? Okay, serious moment. One of the serious moments in the play To Be or Not to Be, the movie, was to sneak some of the Jews out of Poland. What they had to do was disguise them as actors, and then they have an elaborate plan to get out of Poland. But I'm not going to ruin the rest for you, because you got to see the film. And so, but in this moment, Brooks puts you back pretty much in reality, where there's a Jewish couple dressed up as clowns, and the whole theater is filled with Nazis, and they're like speaking in Polish, like, "Oh my God, they're going to kill us." And one of the gay characters in the film, who they were able to get out of Nazi custody, who's dressed up as a clown, goes up to them, and then puts the Jewish star on them and goes, "Judah, Judah," just to try to save their lives, right? And then all the Nazis all laugh, and then the guy goes and pulls out a clown gun and then shoots them, and then drags them, gets them out of the theater. That part there is just a very powerful part of the film. It's like, wow. But yeah, so those are my reviews for today, and I plan to have some more stuff coming up soon in the future. But it's good to keep it nice and short. At least this first one. Sometimes the length of the podcast too will also change depending on more and more subjects and guests. So until next time, folks, sit back, relax, and watch a movie.
Sorry, folks, the theater is now closed. Come back again next time, and we'll have another review or another subject to discuss. Thank you. Goodbye.